And before the video starts, normally I'd be here in front of you, but I'm taping it, so I want to make sure we got a clear angle for there. So if you could not stand, no, you can stay
Oh,
there.
she's
Just
fine.
don't stand
She's
up.
fine. I'm just right over her head.
Yes. Bo Schembechler, the greatest college football coach in the history of the world. Before he passed away in November 2006, he sat down with John U. Bacon, talked about the lessons of life and leadership lessons. John U. Bacon put that book together, Bo's Lasting Lessons on Leadership. Toastmasters, we say where leaders are made. So I made a commitment to this club, say, you know what, I'm going to go through parts of this book, and I'm going to share Bo's lessons with everybody in this club to help us become better leaders. There's various chapters in here. Today I want to focus on the chapters called Moments of Truth, things that don't fit in very well, but they're very important to help you as a leader. The first lesson is have a goal. I know it sounds pretty simple, but football terms, goal is your game plan. How you're going to attack the game, how you're going to attack the whole season, what exactly you're going to do, all the goals you have. Bo stressed the need to make sure everybody understands what the overall goal is. And more importantly, to make sure everybody understands how everything they do fits into that overall goal. He talks. When the guys are lifting weights in February before spring practice, they're not lifting weights. They're lifting weights so they can beat Notre Dame. Spring practice, they're out there working hard so they can beat Michigan State. In the summer, they're out sweating, doing 7-on-7 drills so they can beat Ohio State. Everybody knew what the goal was. It was a Big Ten championship. And everybody knew what their part was and how every activity they did throughout the year fed into that overall goal. And that's what you need to do, whatever group you're leading, say, here's our goal, make sure they know how everything they do fits into that goal. If you have to break it down in pieces, feel free to break it down in pieces, break it down in various steps, but make sure everybody knows what's going on and everybody understands how what they're doing today impacts that goal at the end of the road. The second lesson is skip your script. Kind of interesting to talk to Toastmasters about not going by script. A lot of times we will use scripts in there, but turns out the worst grade Bo got in college was a D- in public speaking. And yet he became a pretty good public speaker. I think he gave a lot of speeches, probably made some money off it. So tells you something about the University of Miami, not the speech department. But anyway, the key was when you skip the script, you're speaking from your heart. You're delivering everything you want into that particular speech. And that's what's important. Hollywood. I'm sure most people have seen the movies, sports-related movies. Coach comes in, gives us fiery prep talk before the game. The team's fired up, everybody just runs out, and they win. But that's Hollywood. Reality, a lot of guys don't hear that speech because they're in the bathroom throwing up. And it's kind of hard to hear the coach when you're retching and it's echoing off the porcelain. But Bo always stressed the most important speech he gave to the team during the week was Thursday after practice. That was the most important time. One, all the practice for the week was done. Everybody's done. So they were relaxed, they were opening, they were listening. Because Friday they might do a walkthrough, Saturday would be the game. So they didn't have much else to do. So it helped switch the focus from practice, everything they were doing, getting them to the game. And Bo never prepared his Thursday speech that he gave. Never did. He spoke from the heart. One of the greatest speeches in Michigan history is entitled, The Team, the Team, the Team. Rather short speech, given the Thursday before a game. And if you just listen to it, I recommend you Google it, because I just can't do it justice here in the few time we have. But Bo emphasized what it meant in college football to be a member of a team. How you play for a team in college. You go to the pros, you're playing for a contract. You're playing for something else. How in college is the last opportunity you have where you're playing for your teammates. And he stressed, Ohio State has these great athletes. They got Archie Griffin at running back. They have it. But you know what? If we play as a team, we're going to win them. we're going to win the Big Ten championship. That was his emphasis, to get everybody together on a team. No script, just happened to do it. And luckily, somebody just happened to video the whole thing on that particular Thursday and caught it, so it's available for all eternity on there. And as a side note, even after Bo stepped down as the college coach of Michigan, he was still involved in the football program. Before the Ohio State game, the Big Ten championship in 2006, Thursday, Coach Lloyd Carr invited Bo to speak to the team. He gave the impromptu speech, his final one. And talk about the importance of that Thursday speech. That was the last act he did involved with Michigan football, because he passed away the next day on his way to the studio to record a pregame show for the Michigan-Ohio State game. If that doesn't stress the importance of that Thursday speech, I don't know what else does. And the third point I want to talk about today is emphasize execution. Bo talks how one season, he didn't have a really good season, went to this coaching clinic. There was this defensive genius. He was giving all the talks, plays, strategies, all this other stuff. Somebody back says, if your defensive schemes are good, how come you guys were last in your conference in defense? Well, our guys didn't tackle very well. Well, this happened, that happened. And it dawned on Bo how important execution was. And Bo should have known this, because that was in 1985. The Michigan State game, October 1981. There was a situation. Michigan was playing, they were playing for another Big Ten championship against the in-state rivals. At the time, Smiley Carway was a defensive lineman for Michigan State. And all the guys were saying, you know, they seem to be doing pretty good. They had the feeling that the Michigan State players had picked up on the signals from the Michigan players. And they kind of knew what the Michigan players were running. And they're doing it. And it really came out in the third quarter. Michigan's deep in the Michigan State territory, 2-yard line, ready to punch it in for a touchdown. Steve Smith is under center, barking out the signals. Smiley Crowley comes up and says, off tackle right, off tackle right. At that time, Steve Smith, the quarterback, had a few options. Because one, you don't want to go back to the bench and face a disappointed Bo Schembechler. There are worse things in the world than that, but not many. He could have called an audible, changed the play, run a different play. He could have called a timeout and went back and said, hey, Bo, they know our play, let's get a different play, run it from scratch. But no, instead he decided he would keep calling out the signals. They were running that particular play. And left tackle, Bubba Paris, down in that 3-point stance, offensive line coach Jerry Hanlon had drilled him in time and time, heard Smiley call out, off tackle right, off tackle right. He looked at him with great aplomb, said, you're right, it's coming your way, and you can't stop it. Tom Dixon snapped the ball to Steve Smith. Bubba Paris fired out, cleared a huge hole, so when Steve Smith handed off the ball to Butch Woolfolk ran in the end zone untouched. Touchdown, Michigan. Michigan State knew the play. They knew it was going to happen. But because the Michigan offensive team practiced, executed it, they were successful in that. So 3 key things in leadership. And this is when you're leading a team, any group of people. 1, have a goal. Make sure everybody knows the goal and how they're contributing to the goal. 2nd, speak from your heart when you speak to the team. Don't go to scripts and be all tied into your particular script. Be flexible, speak from the heart, let people know exactly what you're doing. And finally, execution. Execution is the key. When you execute properly, you will lead your team and you will be a successful leader.